disputes and even encroachments by real estate developers. The good news is that you can avoid these property issues and harness opportunities in the housing sector with the right information. Join us as we discuss everything real estate and the construction industry on the program Property Talk.
Airing live every Monday at 12:30 p.m. on
Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM, Abuja. Property Talk is proudly brought to you by WORIN Nigeria. Don't miss it.
This is Property Talk with WORIN Nigeria.
Good afternoon, beautiful people of the city of Abuja. Welcome to another exciting episode of Property Talk, proudly brought to you by WORIN Nigeria, your trusted platform that connects artisans, property developers, building material vendors, construction professionals, real estate professionals, name it, with individuals and clients across Nigeria. And as always, we are here to educate you, we are here to inform you. We are here to give you valuable insight and connect you with real issues, real information in the construction industry. We are here to connect you with real information that shapes the real estate and the construction industry. As always, my name is Susan Okoyemi, and today we are discussing a very important topic. I know that every Monday I say we are discussing a very important topic, but just take that. Today's topic is super important, and it is going to be challenges that artisans and construction professionals face on construction sites. We're going to be having conversations around real experiences and real life solutions. We believe that a lot of artisans have faced issues on the construction site. They probably have not been able to air their opinions, communicate their grievances, communicate some of the challenges that they have been WORIN and Property Talk was created so that those grievances, those challenges can be aired and can be communicated to the appropriate people. We've been having conversations around real estate investment, properties and all of that. So we just decided to tilt it a little bit. So we are going to be talking artisans and construction professionals. So whether you are a site engineer, you're a bricklayer, you're a plumber, you're a tiler, painter, decorator, whatever, or even a project supervisor, you have likely experienced some of the issues that we'll be, talking about today. And we welcome you to, join the conversation. While the conversation continues, like, we always do on the show, you can call us to, ask questions, contribute to the segment. And the number to call us on is 081-3060-8527. Well, today, to help us unpack today's conversation on the challenges, I have in the studio with me two amazing guests. It is going to be a dialogue today, two amazing guests. First, we have Engineer Theophilus, a seasoned civil engineer, entrepreneur, and educator with years of hands-on experience on construction sites across Nigeria. You are welcome, Engineer Theophilus.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. And joining us also, we have Mr. Mr. Peter. Mr. Peter, right? Yes. Okay, Mr. Peter. Mr. Peter, first rule of friendship, don't forget the name. We have Mr. Peter, a professional decorator whose company has consistently delivered top-tier decoration and design solutions to clients nationwide. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So great to have you on the show. So let's get into it. Today's conversation, like we mentioned, the challenges that artisans and professionals face on construction sites. So I'll begin with you, Engineer Theophilus. We have a couple of questions. I have a couple of questions on my mind, and I will just go back and forth with those questions. Would have the conversation. But the first question on my mind is, or the first thing I want you to do rather is, I'll just like you to stretch the introduction a bit. Just give us a little more. I know I just mentioned your name and that you are, an engineer. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, and maybe some things that you have done.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Such a privilege to be here.
You're welcome.
As you had earlier mentioned, my name is Rakun Theophilus, Engineer Rakun Theophilus. I'm a civil engineer, graduate of ABU Zaria, and I'm a civil engineer at the same time, an educator, and at the
Okay.
same time an entrepreneur. And I've been in the space for a couple of years now, particularly working in the site and then even in the design office. And I'm the lead engineer of Wise Master Builders
Okay.
and then a co-founder of Vara Crest Enterprises. Thank
that-
you so much.
That's great. That's great. You're welcome. Mr. Peter, just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir.
My name is John Peter. Professional decorator.
Okay.
I'm a graduate of Federal Polytechnic Nassau,
Okay.
HND Science Laboratory Technology.
It's great
Supposed
to
to
have
be
you.
a scientist, but
It happens to a lot of
Yeah,
us.
it
It
happens.
happens
So
to a lot of us.
I'm a founder of Asian Global Services. We specialize on decorations
Okay.
to the glory of God. God
Yeah.
has been faithful, and we have grown so fast, and we are still growing.
That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. It happens to a lot of us. I don't want to. Let me not emphasize on the science lab tech, but if I were to ask Engineer Philip what he studied in school,
Okay, I study civil engineering
you're
and
proud.
I'm practicing civil
You're
engineering.
proud, sir. You're proud. Okay, so I'll start with you, Engineer Theophilus. So from your experience, what has been some of the common challenges that you think that artisans face on the construction sites in Nigeria today? I know that, you are coming from, let me just allow you. Let me allow you.
Okay. Thank you once again. So speaking about the challenges that artisans face on site, I will want to maybe split the conversation in two phases.
Okay.
There are challenges that artisans face on site from their supervisors, their engineers.
Okay, so
right?
like people like you.
Like
that-
people like in my own class,
Okay.
And there are challenges that they face from maybe the client.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the nature of the project, there are complex projects big projects where the artisan don't even have an idea of who the client is, especially where the client is a corporate organization or something like that, or a government project. But when you come to smaller projects where clients have that interference, clients come to site and all that, there are peculiar problems and challenges that artisans face from clients. And there are other challenges that they face as a result of themselves, inabilities that arises from their own selves. So these are different challenges. And then, but to start with, let me start from the one that affects me the most, my class of people on site. Maybe it's safe to mention that before I went to school, I was also an artisan on site.
Oh, so you can relate to both.
I can relate with both sides of the conversation. I was a carpenter on site before I went to school and all that. But then coming back, I think one of the major challenges that artisans face is delayed payment or even delayed payment. Sometimes the payment don't even come at all.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it happens sometimes. Payments can be, we can agree, okay, this job will be done for X amount to be paid immediately after the job is done. And then either you don't get the complete pay or the payment is delayed. And
while you were talking, I was just hearing Mr. Philip whisper behind me here because it was like, I feel like he was saying, this, you are saying my mind, I was hearing his voice.
Relating with artists, I think one of the things that helped me very early was being that I came from that background, from that background. So I think I know the pain of the situation, the average artisan goes through in such situations.
Yeah.
Right? They work with their strength. You see, the average artisan works with his hands, it's a physical labor. So whether or not, for whatever the reason is, their minds can't justify why after a day's job my pay is not available.
I get you.
They don't. So no matter what is the excuse, they don't understand it. I used to tell all my artisans, very funny, that I would rather owe a policeman than to owe any of them.
Okay.
Yes. First because I
hope
understand.
you know that policemen are hearing you.
Well, but very honestly, first because I understand their plight, but second because they can really disturb you.
Okay.
Yes, they can really disturb. But first because I really understand them. So one of the major challenges that artisans face, that's working with their supervisors, is delay in payment or even incomplete payment, as the case may be. And all that. So that's one. If I will add any other one on this conversation, on this side of this conversation, it will be communication gaps.
Okay.
So the average artisan, especially on this part of the world, are not educated. Very few of them went to school. Some of them learned the skill, probably. You know how it happens
Like
around here.
apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship. In fact,
No.
the honest truth that many of them don't even go through the complete apprenticeship system. Like very few get to cross that complete,
Yeah.
And so there is that gap of communication, right? So. And that gap, the average engineer is an educated person.
Yes, has gone to school, has
gone
worked
to
with a couple of
so
people.
now, if you are coming directly from school, your head is thinking calculus, is thinking this, is thinking that, and then you're coming to this guy who cannot literally write just simple arithmetic can be a problem for him. So there could be those gaps. And then worst case, if you are working in a region that is as maybe different from where you hail from.
Yeah.
For instance, imagine language barrier. So it can be that very serious. I've had it a little bit easier for myself, being that I grew up in the north. I'm from the north. I schooled in the north, and most of my
still in the north.
I'm still in the north, so it makes it a little easier. But I've seen how frustrating it can be when you go to work in other areas, other regions where the artisans are not very fluent in English, and then you don't understand their native language, and then even if you come back to site where you understand yourself, when it comes to have valid, so that's two major challenges that. Artisans and their supervisors get to have on site from my own experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very rich and robust conversation. I like how you put it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to come to Mr. Peter. I know you have shared perspective from the engineer's point of view. He may want to add. Mr. Peter, what are some of the challenges you think that artisans face? I believe you have been an artisan yourself. You are still do I say you are a senior artisan right now? Because I mean, you have grown, you have a decorating company. Congratulations, that's really big. Not a lot of artisans, really grow, develop themselves onto the point where they are able to even own companies.
That's true.
So I must commend you for that. But what are some of the challenges you think that artisans face? I also believe that you have other decorators who work for you. Yeah. They would have told you some of the problems and the challenges that they face. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. I think I will continue where my engineer stopped. The first point here is a very important problem that artisans face, poor payment. Not only on time, but poor payment. There's one thing with Nigerian professionals, like contractors, they look at artisans as if they don't have need. They are not supposed to be rich.
Oh, okay.
So by the time you were giving maybe an estimate for a job, they'll look at the money and say,
as if you were charging.
This money is too much. Now, what will you do with the money? As if, as an artisan, you are supposed to remain a poor person. So it has been a challenge.
Engineer Theophilus, is that true?
I wouldn't know.
Why are you stuttering?
Now, the truth is that, right, more than just saying they don't want you to be rich, I think one of the problems we face in our society is that we classify people based on probably their educational backgrounds. We classify people based on maybe sometimes even their appearance, and then there's something I noticed. It's a general challenge I've noticed. Most, not just engineers, and I told you there are challenges that artisans face from the client.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Because ultimately the payments come from the client. Ultimately,
yeah. Do
you understand? Most times, in many cases, most clients underrate the job that is being done for them. Especially when it comes to the part of the job that they think they understand.
For example, a client brings an artisan and says, come and paint this place. They think it's just to roll.
God bless you.
To roll the roller. I can do it by myself now.
In fact, when you talk with them, it's not just to do
in
this.
In my own field, so in my own industry, I write professionally. I'm a ghostwriter. I experienced that, and I started out as a social media manager. Lovely. So before, when you want to charge clients, you hear when you charge clients for social media marketing. So it's not just to post.
God bless you.
I'm like, okay, you want to post. Why are you now in my DM? Why are you sending me a
that's
message?
exactly the issue. So beyond just even, because they price the work, they size the work so little, and so they don't attach much value to it. As a result, they don't release much funds in that direction.
Okay, let me allow you hold your thoughts there. Let me continue with Mr. Peter. Mr. Peter, I was trying to I wanted to throw some shades at but he vindicated himself. So let me continue with you. Please go ahead.
Let me add more to it before you. The challenge we had in Nigeria is that when a company, an organized company, come and give their code, they might charge 1 million.
Yeah.
But when an artisan, you come, the same job, same scope of the job. If you charge 500, they'll say it's too much.
Are we seeing a solution here already? Because look at Mr. Peter. I like this conversation so much. We are still on question one. Mr. Peter walked into this place. You cannot tell based on the way artisans look. So I think another thing is appearance. People talk about you being addressed the way you appear.
Sure.
A lot of artisans, there's something called packaging. Maybe not fake it till you make it anyway, but at least packaging. Is it safe to say that a lot of artisans do not package themselves very well? Okay, let me allow you continue anyway.
Okay, and another thing that artisans face is low self-esteem.
Valid. This is valid.
So I have people that when they go to give a quote, they are afraid. This work, they might not give me. If I charge this amount, they might give it to another person. And sometimes insecurity, they are afraid. Okay, if I charge it like this, they might give it to somebody. So that fear,
The fear of
will
charging.
now make them to charge less.
I think, while we are having this conversation, we're talking about the problems. We are also like trying to prefer
Look at the
solutions.
solutions, yeah.
You know how when you go to school, you are out of school, you seek job opportunities. Sometimes you go through trainings and then you have the hard skills. There's something they call soft skills. So there's communication, there is negotiation skills, all those things. I think that with all those apprenticeships, the bosses, quote and unquote, may not have factored in some of all these other soft skills. Because I like the fact that Mr. Peter mentioned this. It did not even come to my mind when we were thinking
Maybe
about
let
it.
me say this, right? Okay. First, one of the reasons why that doesn't work is because you can't give what you don't have.
Okay.
Because sometimes some of those bosses is maybe after many years of work. So they
building
don't even so they will
themselves.
not have realized that there is such a thing as a soft skill,
You are very correct.
So, but if you look at Mr. Peter, for instance, Mr. Peter went to school.
Yeah.
Do you get? So it's traceable. You can trace the line for where the self-confidence is coming from, the packaging you spoke about and all that. And then going further, I mentioned to you that there are problems that artisans face that is a result of their own state of being.
When I was going to say, I don't even think it's a school thing because we have people who are educated and still have low self-esteem.
Very valid.
Education is not even about going to school. Education is being able to amass information, knowledge in a particular industry, regardless of how it comes. Some people will sit down. That's why we hear of people being self-taught.
Yeah.
Some people will sit down, watch videos, read books, amass the knowledge, and then go to the field, practice. For example, public speaking skills. They don't teach it in school.
Sure.
You have to speak to people to amass public speaking skills. You have to put yourself up there on the stage. So I think that some of the artisans, I like how you mentioned it, or I like how you said it. It is problem that is
an
associated.
Intrinsic problem.
Yes,
Intrinsic
intrinsic, associated with themselves.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Peter, do you have any more some of the challenges that you think that you face?
Yeah, another challenge is that this one is from the artisan.
Okay.
Like we have said, most of us doesn't develop ourselves. Like for instance, you are a painter, you know how to hold the roller. You don't go online to learn the new skills.
Because me
The one you know 10 years ago is the same thing you know, while the decoration industry is changing every day. So there are new skills, there are
evolving.
new designs, and you don't go online to study. So that's another challenge, but that one comes directly from the artisan. Most of us refuse to develop ourselves. We just remain with that little knowledge we have.
You won't blame you. Well, thank God for platforms like this.
Yeah.
When you work, and I think this one area, someone like my own self can, my own office comes in. Learning has to be incentivized, right? There has to be an incentive towards learning.
Okay.
Very few people wake up and just want to learn something new.
But they are lost.
You see, well, the thing there is this, right?
Because I wanted to hear you when you said it has to be incentivized. So who is going to put the incentive on it?
So now this is where it comes. So this is what I believe. If we pay those who do good jobs better than those who don't do good jobs,
Okay.
that's one window. And then, for instance, now, as much as I'm a civil engineer, I can't mention 10 schools in Abuja. Abuja probably has the highest hub of artisans around the nation.
Okay.
But I can mention 10 schools in Abuja where, trainings, like specialized trainings. Thank God for WORIN now, But you don't have schools as per schools or platforms. There are not many platforms that offer such kind of trainings, you see. So those are some of the challenges I believe that...
Thank you, Engineer Theophilus. I like the fact that you were even chipping in WORIN. Some time ago, I think it was about 2 months ago, where we held the training for artisans. Lovely. We had a training where artisans came together, and then we had construction professionals come, train them on various things, talk to them. talk to them about soft skills, even hard skills. They were training on screening, at the event. And those are some of the things that I believe that should be done, with artisans. And, when both of you mentioned the issue of payment, that is why WORIN was created. I mean, that was our boss used to tell us about, different stories with artisans and clients. One of the stories was maybe not so directly related to the conversation anyway, but one of the story was where an artisan was hired to go and get a job done. And then he said he had ulcer and then went to go and warm the pot of beans in the client's kitchen. You get? There were other situations where an artisan will go and, steal from the client's, apartment and things like that. So WORIN was created so that it bridges that gap. The client is not afraid of allowing an artisan into their home, and then the artisan is not afraid of not receiving their payments because, there is a mediator, there is somebody in between.
Lovely.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why WORIN exists. Thank you so much. Very interesting conversation. For our listeners, we believe that you are gaining knowledge and enjoying the conversation. If you would like to ask questions or contribute to the segment, the number to call us on is 081 30 60 8527. The number again is 081 30 60 8527. Okay, so Engineer Theophilus, before I come to you, let me go to Mr. Philip. Mr. Philip, I don't know why, my boss's name is Mr. Philip, so I'm so sorry. I keep calling you Mr. Philip because... Okay, we have a call. Let's take this call before we continue the segment, please. Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, your name and where you're calling us from.
Michael, coming from Dubai.
Mr. Michael from Jikwe. Okay, your contribution or question, please.
I've been listening to the program. I really enjoy this program that you guys do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank your audience there over there.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the way they explain things. Okay, in the aspect of me, like me now, I'm in electrical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into building also. So most times the client will give you a job.
Yeah.
But after you doing the job in the kind of, with your strength and the kind of workers you have, acing the job, they will now see that this job is supposed to, maybe to them, after charging them about, let me just assume that you charge them like 300,000.
Yeah.
But the effort you put on the job, they will end up reducing the money because you put effort to round up the job. They will not see it as the hard work that you put in.
Okay.
So I don't really know why it's like that.
Okay. Let me allow our guest. Did you get the question?
Yes,
Did you get what? Do you have something to say?
I didn't hear very well.
Okay, he said, for example, he's an electrical engineer, and then he gives a quote of like 300,000 naira for a job, and then after doing the job, the client is looking at it as if the job is 100,000 naira job, something like that. Yeah.
So personally, right, I think I tell my artisans, and it's a value system I try to imbibe in my own self, that once you know the minimum amount that can get any job done profitably. And if you don't want profit, if you believe you want to secure a relationship, know what is the minimum amount that can get the job done comfortably. Most times you should be bold enough to work out at an opportunity that you know is not good for you. Most artisans, because there's no work at hand, probably I don't have any job at hand, and then you quoted for a job, maybe 300,000, like he said, and then the client is pricing for 150,000 or 200,000. And within you are not sure that amount to get the job done. Now, for the sake of not staying at home, they will say they want to take up on a job. Yeah. Now, if you do that once, you do that twice, you bear the risks.
I feel like this is even on one hand. The question
is,
the guy, he has already given the quote. He has done the job.
He has done the job.
Yes. And
then when it's time for payment.
Mr. Peter, I understood. Okay, the question is, you understand? Maybe you agree on 300,000.
Okay, agreed already.
Yeah,
so
he has even already done the job.
The client thought you would take like 2 weeks to run the job. You now run 1 week. Okay. You understand that kind of thing? Then the client is not thinking as if somehow you cheated him.
No, so that's it's a typical thing, not just in this industry. I think it's a typical thing. Most times people associate, once they associate speed with ease.
There is something
It's efficiency. I think it's his efficiency that makes the job done faster.
There's another thing I want us to add to this.
Let me answer.
Please go ahead.
In this case, the problem we're having in Nigeria is that we don't have contract terms.
That's another valid thing.
I have a client that I work with. When we agree on a price, he will say, how will the payment plan be? First payment, second payment, third payment, we must agree on that.
Yeah.
So first payment, he must pay me. I start the job. After some percentage of job, over 50%, he paid me my second payment.
So if he doesn't pay, you penned the job.
I will stop the job.
So you don't even feel cheated if he doesn't pay.
And another thing is that some of us, you have gotten a job 300,000, you want to rush it and make that 300K. I don't do that. If the work is 1 week, calculate it, delay it a little. If you are to bring 10 people, bring 8. Because when you finish it faster, the client might think that you cheated him. So sometimes I delay my work. The work that I can finish in 3 days, I can take 6 days. Because I know how much I charge.
But there's another perspective.
Cost now. When you delay your work, the cost on you goes higher.
But there's even another perspective I want us to explore. Clients need to understand that practice leads to perfection.
That's why
So if I have done things over and over again, you don't
there's a
expect
level
me
of
to
efficiency.
Exactly.
I will not spend the same
I
time
want to
a
spend the
novice
same
is
number of
spending on
time.
the same job.
I mean, do you get? So clients need to even understand that in the first place. If the job is, you are expecting that the job is going to be a 2-week job because you are a novice, you don't have the skills, you don't have the expertise. I've been doing this for years. Mr. Peter has been doing this for years. He already has a company. He already, from his sleep, he already knows what is needed. Right? So you don't expect me to now come on the job and be sleeping.
But let me make another point that our client, they should be able to understand this. That the time a professional take to finish your job doesn't have anything to do with the price you are paying. You are paying for the knowledge you have, not
Once
the
the
time.
job is done.
Not the time.
Probably the timeline should also be agreed in the contract. Probably. That should save the situation. I'm getting this job done in so and so a time.
Or let's say between before, is it on or before?
Yeah, just a little range, just to give an idea, so that it doesn't look like you are playing tricks on them. The truth is that the average human being want to play safe. They don't want to lose their money to go out of them for no justifiable reason. And the moment anything looks like that, they begin to play defensive. They want to withhold payment. They want to do this. They want to do that. You see, that's the problem. And sometimes, again, probably the money is not even there. They are hoping that over that long time that you are doing the job, the money will come. There are those dynamics.
You know, from today's conversation, what I can see as the basis for, how do I put it now? The basis for cordial relationship between clients and is communication.
Yes.
Communication, even with the skill set, you have to be able to communicate your expertise. You have to be able to communicate your pricing. You have to be able to communicate your terms. Communication. Artisans need to be able to communicate. Clients need to be open-minded and respect the terms that the artisans, have brought. This, I like this. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter. Let me throw this to you. Have you ever faced a situation, in the years of doing all this? Have you ever faced a situation where your creative input wasn't respected on site? Wait, why that side?
It's a normal thing.
Okay.
It's an everyday experience.
It's a normal thing. Sometimes you might think, there's this kind of interest. Maybe your view might not be the same with the client. That's why sometimes you need to understand what your client wants.
Okay.
I always tell my men is that we are here to satisfy the client, not ourselves. So there are some things, because of my past experience, that maybe I didn't consult the client. I thought this is the best option. After doing it, the client didn't like it. So now what I do is I will call the client, let's discuss. This is it, from this your plan, because sometimes when you look at the 3D, you see there are some colors that is looking good there, but in the natural sense,
May not look
it won't be
good.
fine.
Yeah.
So you have I will call them, okay, this color and this color you are seeing like this. When we do it physically, it might not look okay. This is what I want us to do. If they are okay, we go ahead. If they say no, I still go with what they want.
Okay.
So it was a challenge for me until when I have to change my approach.
The client ultimately is king, and you have to satisfy the clients. Let me follow up with this. Have you experienced a situation where a client came on board to give last-minute changes, and how did it affect your work?
Yeah, it has happened. I have a client that if you travel to Dubai and returns, they will break the wall and introduce something. So, it will affect you.
Wow.
You will spend more.
Yeah.
And there's no changes in the agreement. Most of them will not. They will tell you we have agreed on the job. So there's no change in terms of agreement. And sometimes because you just want to keep relationship, it's something that is not much, but it has affected your profit margin.
Wait, so when, for example, this client comes back and they break the wall, they would no additional funding?
No additional. Sometimes when you begin to ask, they would think as if you are an ingrate. Oh, I've given you a job of 5 million, and because of this little, you want to charge me for it. So it will affect you, but you will just take it sometimes just to satisfy.
Engineer Theophilus, come and defend your clients, yeah?
We share the same pain when it comes to these subject matters. The thing is, right? Many clients don't understand that alteration has cost implication.
It does.
And most times the cost implication is not, it doesn't follow, it's not in the same magnitude with the alteration. The alteration can be small, but the cost implication can be very big.
Yeah.
You can just alter a slight, maybe just a wall, but probably on that wall there's a conduit pipe. Maybe on that wall there is this, there is that. So you may have to bring in a mason, you have to bring in another electrician, you have to bring in somebody to paint, and the many things that will follow in. So that it is small does not necessarily mean, and it's an everyday thing. Literally, it's an everyday experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it this way. Just when you are about to finish the job, I don't think I like it like this. This is not what I meant. This was what I meant.
This alteration that you talked about, I feel like clients need to be really considerate. And I had a personal experience. The house we moved into, we just noticed that it was having capillary movement, and we were wondering what the problem was. It was after, some months we realized that the piping was leaking in the wall in the bathroom. And so they had to break the wall, remove the tiles, break the wall, change the piping. And, I just kept pitying the landlord. I was like, see money. Because they had to bring, mason, everything, change the piping, paint again, and all of that. So it is cost intensive. It is cost intensive. Okay, let me come to you, Engineer Theophilus. What do you think are some measures that can be taken to reduce conflicts and misunderstandings between engineers and supervisors and artisans?
Well, first measure, as much as possible, educating artisans.
Okay.
When you educate artisans, it puts them at a better position to, it takes away the communication gap largely. And by educating, just as you mentioned, soft skills, once they are cultured with soft skills and all that, and then even the technical skills, right? It's a technical skill to understand building drawing.
Yeah.
There's no more soft skill again. So both sides of that. And then secondly, my advice to every artisan and to every engineer is, as much as possible, as an engineer, have your artisan. Okay. And as an artisan, have your engineer. Of course, here and there, everybody will call you for work, typically speaking. But there should be people that you work with over and over again, that you understand their mode of operation. Yeah. Like, as a person now, when you call me for certain kinds of job, whether or not you're involving me in the job, there are clients that prefer just send me somebody. Oh, I need an electrician, because they don't want to involve you directly. Yeah. Do you get those kind of things? I will not just be randomly looking for an electrician, for instance. Yes. You get the point. There are people that have worked with me and I've worked with, and I've seen their work, and I know what they can do and what they cannot do. We've built a line of communication over time, right? So once you have that consistency, because the truth is that even as human beings, we are divergent, we are different, right? So the rules are not the same everywhere. But as much as possible, if you work with people over and over again, it creates that relationship, it creates that level of efficiency, and it bridges the gap. So education, one, but building strong ties and relationship is also another.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Let me just add to what he said. It still lies on education. Yeah. But there's one thing that engineers need to do, or supervisors inside this. When you're having a project, try to bring your artisans together.
Okay.
Let them know themselves, because that's where we have crisis.
Okay.
An electrician will do something, he doesn't care, the painter will correct it. A plumber will do his own, he doesn't care, the tailor will correct it. So because there's no synergy, they don't even know themselves. By the time you bring them together, I know this tailor, I don't want to offend him. He knows me. So if I spoil his work, he can call me direct. So when there's that relationship,
more considerate,
that teamwork, you won't have much issue. And another thing is, engineers need to have, or contractors or supervisors need to have job description.
Okay.
It should be written. Even if it is an assistant that can read, and you give him, this is what you do in written. He will not go off. But by the time you just explain, it's not everybody that can keep something for a very long time in there. So you just tell him, he might go and do something different. But by the time you have it written, this is your job description. This is what you would do in this side, this and this and this. Anytime he forgets something, he can fall back to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter. I feel like our time is already fast spent. We should be out of the studio in less than 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I feel like this conversation, we did not even touch, most of the questions that I had. I feel like there should be a part 2, of this conversation. Well, I'll just go on with our property alert. We have a couple of properties just before we, check out of the studio. We currently have properties at Kuje Property Alert, 40 units of 4-bedroom terrace duplex, payment plan available in a choice and strategic location in Kuje. A fenced plot measuring about 200 square meters with FCDA R of O. Those are the properties we have at Kuje. At Airport Road, Aviation Village, close to the airport, we have various sizes of land ranging from 150 square meters to 600 square meters with title document C of O. We also have 5 units, 4-bedroom, fully detached duplex going up for sale, seated on about 450 square meter plot of land. This property is just at Sabun Lugbe layout, opposite Glory Dome, Dunamis Church. The third property we have on the Airport Road, we have 6 units of 4-bedroom terrace duplex, opposite River Park Estate, close to NUT office, and many more vetted properties along Airport Road. Idu, we have 4 hectares of land with titled FCDA R of O. We have plots of land ranging from 150 square meters to 600 square meters with title document and FCDA R of O. So please, you can call us on 08130608527 to get more details about the properties. We want to appreciate you, our listeners, for joining us. Like we always say, a conversation continue offline. We know that we have not even done justice to this conversation. We're going to continue this same conversation next week. But you can drop your questions, drop your contributions on our social media pages. We are WORIN Nigeria on all social media pages, WORIN Nigeria. Don't forget to download the WORIN app on Play Store. And until we come your way, same time, same station next week, this is me saying, keep building better.
This land is mine. It's not yours. Look at my documents here to prove that it is mine. This land is not your own, no. Oga, you better go and look for your own land. See my